and I decided not to finish it. I decided to get out of there. At the same time, a couple other things happened too. My house was raided again, so that happened. I got paranoid. I just didn't want that anymore. I thought that's not worth it. You know what I mean? So it didn't get me out though, because if you have that planted so deep in your brain, you can't just stop with all that. You know, that's all you have. That's all you believe in since you were 13 years old. You know, and I was in my 20s. And I was already involved in a Klan group at that point, but that was nothing really serious. That was just a drinking club, you know, a couple of skinheads with sheets. That was it. And I decided, okay, let's do one thing. I started my own Klan group. I drop out of all that Nazi and skinhead movement, leave that network behind me, just take a couple people with me and try to recruit people just out of the society who may think the same or that I can influence. And I started to dig into, okay, what does the Klan believe in, you know? And they claim to be Christian. And in Germany, the right-wing movement, they're not very Christian, because to be Christian, you have to believe in Jesus. And Jesus was, what?
A Jew.
So, and most right-wing people are what?
Yeah.
Anti-Semites, you know?
Yeah,
so how does that work? So, and I asked a friend, hey, how can it be? So Klansmen are anti-Semites, you know? And they hate Jews, and then Christian at the same time. Jesus was a Jew. No. Jesus was white. I was like, what? Have you ever read the Bible? And then I was digging into that because I wanted to see, hey, if I promote an idea, then I want to know what it really is. I'll always look behind the curtain, you know? So I was translating stuff from Old Hebrew into German and then into English, Old Greek into German into English, and so on, trying to find those quotes and everything.
Was this just for your own purposes?
No, that was actually because my own purposes, because hey, I was still stuck with that some kind of racism, you know, and I just founded the Klan group, you know, so I wanted to teach my members something that's got some substance, you know, that got a basis, you know, and it took like 2 years, and what happened is, like, first it was that much racist, that much Christian, and then one like that. More Christian, less racist, you know? So it became more an identity thing, Christian, you know? And the racism part got less and less and less important. So Jesus and God and everything became way more important. So in 2002, I had a similar situation. Again, the government, house was raided. It was just fighting inside the group and stuff like that. And it just, everything exploded. And I was like, okay, hold on. Now I'm already at the point that racism plays such a small role in that whole thing, you know? And I still have the same problem I had 2 years ago. And there was just not enough ideology, not enough racism or nationalism or whatever it was inside me to justify that. So I said, okay, it's not worth going to prison for. It's not worth continue to destroy my life and my family's life. And I just said, okay, now is the time. And that was actually good, because 2 years before I had that huge network of thousands of people I knew that I had to cut ties. But the ideology was still there. Now I had maybe 25 people in my network.
Yeah.
And had already ties into the society, because I wore different clothes and everything. I wasn't that obvious skinhead or Nazi anymore, you know. I dressed normal, I acted normal, tried to influence people in society. So it was way easier. My door was more open to the society. Many people didn't know what I do. I did it really in secrecy. And so I thought, okay, if people don't know about my past, they will accept me. So I can just, stop all that, because, as I said, there was not enough left. It was a long process. It took years to see how it went. You had to soften it, cut these ties. In my case, it was that hard for two reasons. I was so tied so deeply into that movement, you know. Coming back to the quicksand again, you know. I was so deep in that quicksand. It was not easy to pull me out there. And I had nobody to pull me out, so I had to do that by myself. So I crawled out of the quicksand alone, and that took years and different steps, you know. Very often in these 4 years, I knew it was wrong, but there was nobody to help me. There was just a lot of judgment on the other side. So I just fought my struggle, you know. He said, "The Angry Young Man." There's a wonderful song of Billy Joel, "The Angry Young Man." And every time I hear that, actually, I think of myself at the time, because, you know, you think you fight that noble cause, you know? That's really what we thought. I really thought I'm doing the good thing. Hey, I just love my people, my race, my country. If you make me to hate you because I'm defending my people, well, okay. And that's how a lot of those people think. And if you talk to those people and understand where they come from, they are more understanding for you. But I didn't have that. Nobody asked me about that. And that's why I think it's so important to talk to people, you know what I mean? And you see, that's a very complex story. It's not just like, oh, my child is born and oh, that innocent creature, you know, and I don't.
It's not a one-step
right.
process.
Right. No,
journey,
that's.
yeah.
And that was one part. And the other part, why it was so hard for me, was I was scared to death of the new world. If they find out what I did in my past, how they react, how do they judge me? And that's what they did. Every time somebody found out, they judged me. So what I did after I got out for 10 years, I hid it. I talked to some people and said, yeah, I've been in the right-wing movement, extremist movement. And that's all information they got. Said, well, okay, that's fine. I know you the way you are now. You're good. But it was 10 years after I got out in 2012. It exploded. It was a big thing in the German media for several reasons. And I was all over TV, and all over the newspapers and everything. And there it started, exactly what I was afraid of. A lot of finger pointing, a lot of judging, and nobody cared about how did TM get in, how did he get out, and what person is he nowadays. Just pointing on that 10-year or 15-year span I was in that movement. I'm 42 now, you know what I mean? So that's actually kind of, it's a long time, but in my life, just a certain time. But my life got reduced to that. Even to a couple of years when I was very extreme, you know. And fortunately, I was out of that movement for a long time already. And I was stable. If I would have been out maybe only 6 months, and they would have judged me like that, who knows? I may have gone back, you know. And I know people who left that movement, and that happened to them. They just went back. They just told their former friends, hey, I made a mistake, whatever. They had to prove themselves and stuff like that. But they kind of relapsed.
Yeah.
Because the society let them relapse, you know? Very often you don't get a chance, and that's really... You see, it's not... You see, talking to me doesn't give you simple answers.
But that's kind of the beauty of it. Like, you kind of touched on this, but, like, I don't want to use the word, like, albatross, because it doesn't seem like this past really, like, you know, holds you down anymore. But, like, do you feel like you're ever going to, like, you know, just be completely past it? Like, it's never really just... I mean, or is it always kind of like there's, like, a reminder to you of, you know, where you've been, what you've done? I mean, it's clearly influencing your life in a more positive direction nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, but, like, do you feel that it is a burden you still, like, deeply carry, or?
It is a burden, definitely. And actually, I don't... Especially in my case, it's a burden because it's been on the media that much too. And even if I would not want to do what I do now, you know, telling my story so much, because that's what I do. I go to places, I go to schools and whatever, and tell my story, how I got in, how I got out, why it's so important to talk to people, and so on. Even if I wouldn't do that, it would be still a burden. I don't do that only because, like, I was exposed in the media. Let's say that. Because when I moved here to the US in 2012, for 2 or 3 years, I didn't talk about it a lot either. I mean, my wife knew about it from the beginning. Other people knew it too. I mean, you could look up those articles. You know, if you look up my German name, who knew it? You know, I never hid it. There's tons of people who knew me by my German name. But it was not a thing. I didn't carry a sign with me saying, I've been the leader of the German KKK or the European KKK. No, I didn't do that. So many people just didn't know. And, you know, it wasn't important to me because that wasn't the person anymore that I'm now, you know. Or the person that I was back then is not the same person that I'm now. So I thought, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because it's not me anymore. And then the same thing happened 2015, big newspaper. I was on the front page. My face big. I was in the newsstands. I didn't even want to get out of the house that day. Because some guy thought he wanted to destroy my life. Dug up some stories, gave it to the newspaper, and said, look, here is the former KKK leader living in your neighborhood, and he's all over the media in Germany. You have to write a story about it because he's trying to hide it. The good thing is, I wasn't trying to hide it. I just didn't want to be judged. Same thing again. And when that story came out, I was so afraid, but fortunately I got good reactions, you know. I was exposed. And then I thought, okay, there's one thing. In that time span, like 10, 15 years after I got out, I didn't see a necessity to deal with my past too much. Because for me, it was a clean cut. I started a new life. And as you said it, like it never happened, you know what I mean? That I just erased it from my past, from my life.
Yeah.
And that worked for like 10, 15 years. And I didn't see a reason why to bring it up again. Because I never dealt with it. I just thought, well, whatever. Just forget it. And actually, today I'm thankful that I was exposed in the media that much. Because it forced me to deal with my past. To really think about, to understand myself. Why did I get into it? Because even in 2015, I still ask myself, why did I get into that, you know? Why? I asked myself as much as other people asked that question, you know? And the more I dealt with my past, you know, I wrote a book about it, I talked to people about it, the more I tried to reconstruct that story, really try to understand what happened when I was a kid. What was really my issue? Why was that so important to me? Why was I so attracted to it? Because other people were growing up without a dad too. You know, they were bullied too.
But I mean,
they didn't become Nazis, you know what I mean?
But a lot of people get involved in gangs and other bad activities because
right,
of the lack of the
I had one
structure.
reporter asking me the same thing and said, yeah, I mean, that's a story and feels like, yeah, we had a tough time. But not everybody that has a tough time like that becomes a Nazi and a racist and the leader of the Klan, you know? And that's right. And then I ask myself, okay, so why did I become the leader of the Klan? That other kid didn't. Well, there's other factors too, you know, that identity thing. It could have been something else. If that cassette tape wouldn't have been skinhead music, you know? I mean, I was listening to a little bit of heavy metal at that time, you know, Motorhead, Iron Maiden, and all that stuff, you know, that was very popular end of the 80s. Maybe if that would have been more a movement or more provoking or whatever, I might have slipped into that, you know. It could have been punks or whatever. But it wasn't. It was those skinhead tapes, you know. And nothing was shocking more than that topic, you know, and that all that tied together, you know. And in the last couple of years, I dealt so intensively with my past that I started to understand. That I started to understand the why and everything. And it helped me. It helped me to process it for myself, but also to tell the story to other people, you know? So if I talk to kids, or also to show compassion. Like I'm involved in a couple of exit groups, that like in Exit Germany or Exit USA. If somebody wants to get out of those movements, they have the same issues, you know? They know, okay, I'm here, and on the other side is a society, a judging society. They're afraid. They have nobody to reach out to. The only person that really knows what they're going through is somebody who has done the same. Just people like me, you know? So, and we're organized in exit groups, and people can reach out to us. and then we can talk to them, and I can show compassion. Like, even if I know you're still stuck with your ideology, I'm still stuck in that gang, but I see, hey, you've got your doubts, you want to get out. Okay, let me be the only person who understands what you're going through right now. Give you that compassion and understanding, no judgment, because I've been there. And now I would have wished that somebody would have been there listening to me. To the wise. The tough times you've been through. Not just pointing with the finger on you, you know? And that helped me a lot. And I think it's that being forced to deal with my past, to find all that out, you know? Made me a completely different person. A person that's way more understanding, less judging, and maybe it gave me a new identity, a new purpose, you know what I mean? I think identity has always been a very important part in my life, you know? And well, it's maybe my new purpose. I mean, I do a lot of things. I mean, my work, I shoot fireworks, I'm a video technician, I do some sound, I do a lot of things. I'm into marketing, you know, I've got 2 marketing companies, got a film company, I do LED video walls and all this stuff, you know, and the fireworks, and involved in trucking a little bit, so I do a lot of things. But I think what gives me my identity now is mostly my activism. Again, like it did back then, just a different direction. Because maybe I always wanted to change the world. I don't know. But all that made me a person that maybe is trying to change the world in a good way now.
Now, I don't want to define you by your past actions, because that's all we've talked about this whole time and we've gone along. So I want to kind of get off of this topic completely.
Okay.
So, like, when you first came to America, like, what really surprised you?
Like immediately, like instantly,
just
or in general when I arrived.
Well, I mean, you've been here now for a while. Like, you know, what has really like kind of just stood out to you is, you know.
Well, first, you know, it's like being on a vacation, because I loved America since I was a kid. I always wanted to be here. I knew that. I want to come here one day and die here. You know, period. I knew that. I always loved the music, the language, cars, freedom, all of that. You know. And actually, that's a funny thing. I also like that idea of that multicultural, multiracial melting pot that's often promoted by the media and Hollywood and everything. And even though I've been a racist in my past, that love for this country always been there. Maybe that's why I attracted to the Klan too, you know, as a typical American thing. Unfortunately, the Klan is one of the American things, unfortunately. We can't change history. That's like Hitler's a German thing, even though he was Austrian. But however, and so I came here. First, it was that vacation. I was, oh my God, that's so awesome. You know, everything I always dreamt of, you know. I was here a couple of times before on vacation. But I knew, okay, building up my business and everything, that's how I came here. I wanted to build up a recording studio, music recording studio with a friend. Rented it and everything, had an investor. Then my friend died, you know, it's a long story. And it was just a great time, and I enjoyed being here, being thankful. But one thing I learned, like, it took a year or two, and then when I met Carmen, my wife, I realized, okay, where's that melting pot? Where is it? I said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, have you not watched those Hollywood movies and everything? And you see the white cop and the black cop, and they fight together, they're friends and everything, and there's no hatred, and it's the melting pot, and you see mixed couples and everything. Of course you see movies about the Klan and hatred too, but the majority of that's what nobody wants to see, the bad part, right? So that's not what Hollywood is promoting.
Absolutely not. I mean, they're putting out this
that's actually image. It's the white media, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they try to promote that nice picture of America. Of course, you have crime, there's some hate, but not. It promotes actually a multicultural.
All right, man. Camera died, so I guess we kind of got to wrap this. I'm sorry, but man, like, we will definitely do a part 2 of this, because this is absolutely fascinating and interesting, and we just went super long. So yeah.
But what I wanted to say is, this multicultural America doesn't exist, unfortunately. But we need to create it.
And we will pick that up next time.